Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be looking at ADA. This is going to be a low time frame video. We did an update for the macro today, which can be found up above here, so check that out if that's more what you're interested in. The original video is also up here if you haven't watched that already. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so within the update video, basically what we were talking about is two things. So we were talking about that potential that we're breaking down for a fifth wave, treating this as a fourth, looking for this fifth wave target here of this 0259 to this 1604 as a possible fifth wave target here. Now what we would want to see here is actually continuing to develop good structure, because at the moment we don't have a completed move here, we just have a three wave structure. So if we are arguing that we are within this fifth wave, what I want to see here within the count is actually continuation to develop good structure here. Now the way that I would be currently counting this, I'm going to come down here into the 1 hourly. Now what I would be looking for here would be effectively that this is a 1 2 1 2, and then we're actually looking for this to break down in a bigger third wave. So now we could argue that this is 1 2 1 2 3 4 and 5, and then we've had an extension in this fifth wave. So that's the way I'm currently looking at this, and the possible rejection zone of this would actually be this 2909 to this 2510. So we have actually moved up into this zone here, and we could actually start to look to break down from this level. So the thing is, within this count, it is looking quite impulsive. So what I would be looking on the lookout for here is that if this is a 5 wave move up, what we could actually get is a B and a C, something like this, where we actually look to come back up into this 2909 and look to maintain this level. Invalidation of this would only come by crossing this 3490, but we need to be careful because at the moment we just have a 3 wave move down, and because of that fact we could also potentially argue that within this count we could have this just as A, B, and this is a C wave, in which case, you know, that could be completed here, and what we could actually be looking for is a bigger move to the upside. So we're going to go over that count after I finish this one. Now what we'd be looking for within this more bearish count is the fact that we're going to see rejection come in below this 3492, and what we'd be looking for is that 3 wave move up followed by another 5 wave move down. If we do reject off this 2909, what we could then see is this 5th wave come into this 2059 area, and then we could actually see price be gravitated to the downside here again after having an additional 4th wave up into this 2872 to this 2353 area before looking for this 5th wave down again towards this 1841 to this 1650. Now this would be looking for that 5th wave potential, and if I overlay that count on here, we can see that would actually bring us back into this box area. It would also align us with the 1-to-1 of the wave 1, which would be here at the 1769, and as well as that we do have this 0.382 of the wave 1 to 3, which is coming here at this 1696 region. So because of that fact, we need to be aware that if we do continue to break down, there is some confluence within these zones of a 5th wave, so we'd have to keep an eye on that. Obviously we do, like we said in the higher time frame video, we do have that possibility of coming towards this 1618 or this 0.618 over here, which is this 0978 and this 0931 respectively. Now what we need to be on the lookout for here is that if this Z wave actually completes here, this could be a corrective move in its own right. So we could argue two things. We could argue that this is A, B, and then we're looking for this as a C wave, but now we don't have good structure here for a 5 wave move for the C wave. If we do continue to see a 5 wave move down, what we could see is this C wave actually come down towards this 1867 level, where this is A, this is B, and then we have this C wave, which would also be a 1.236 of this W wave. So be keeping an eye on this level here if we do see price continue to break to the downside. However, if we do see price start to push to the upside and we take these highs here of this 3863, what it could mean is that this Z wave actually completed over here, and that this whole move in itself is a corrective pattern. Now, if this is a corrective pattern and we actually look to take out these highs, this would mean that we have 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and then effectively what we'd be looking for would be a 5 wave move to the upside. So this is still technically viable, even if we did move down to this 2048 to this 1861. The problem that I would have with this is that if we actually do break down to these levels, it's probably going to be more likely we would have had an additional 5th wave, a 4th wave, and a 5th wave, which ties into that 5 wave move. And we can't have a 5 wave move as a B wave. You could argue from further back here you had a flat, but then you'd be left with this funny structure going over here. So it becomes less likely in that way. Now, if we actually did look to potentially reverse from exactly where we are here and we don't set a new low, what we could actually be on the lookout for would be a 5 wave move to the upside, treating this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, what we'd be looking for as possible targets here would be this 6376 to this 4959 region as a expanding flat. If this were to be a running flat, we would actually be looking for this 1-to-1 here at this 4246, or alternatively this 0.618 would be a very rare but possible zone that we could actually look to move into. The problem I'd have with this is that if we just get a move up like this, it would be very disproportionate to say this was ABC. So this is why I'm thinking if we're going to get something like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe this 1-to-1 target would be more likely as a running flat, and if it's going to be expanding, we could actually see price come back up into these higher levels here of the 63.76 to this 49.59 region. So the key thing is here, if I come down into the smaller time frames here, if we were looking for the possibility of a breakout, what we would have to argue is that either within this count we have this as 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're actually looking to push up in a bigger way, where we'd actually be looking to push past this zone of this, let's get this on here, this 34.64, as looking at this as 1, 2, 1, 2. Now that would mean that we'd actually see price do this, where this becomes 1, 2 here, then we effectively would be arguing possibly that there's another series of 1s and 2s here. We see 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and then we'd actually be looking for this 34.46. However, there is also the potential that we could actually still be within a third wave here, but it's looking more likely that if we're going to complete, it would be where we are currently. The problem we have with this is the wave 3 wouldn't have gone 1.618 of this wave 1, so we need to just be careful when we get stuff like this and we actually don't achieve this 1618. It is also possible what we could just get here is that this is ABC, we have this as a connector wave here, and then this is A, B, and C, and then we actually look to break to the downside. So the key thing here is that if this is a 5-wave move completed into this zone, this 2908 to this 2845, what we'd want to see is a 3-wave move to the downside, looking to find support at this 2513 to this 2329. Failure to hold this 23.29 makes it more likely that we're going to actually come back down here and take out this 22-cent region. Taking out this 22-cent region makes it more likely then that this is actually just a corrective move to the upside, and we'd have to say that this was ABC, this is an X, A, B, and C. Now the 1-to-1 of that as an ABC would actually be higher up, which would be here towards this zone of this 33.22, but what I would be on the lookout for here is the minimum requirement of this would actually be up here at this 30 cent 23. So I would be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price start to roll over here, it's going to be key whether we hold this low point here. If we want to talk about that possibility of forming bullish structure, we need to maintain this 22 cent region and actually start to build this impulsive structure up. Now if we were talking about this possibility of actually seeing this move develop in a bigger wave here, what we would be looking for would be this secondary count over here, and I'm going to come over onto the hourly now. What we'd want to see is price actually complete a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'd want to see a 3-wave move back to the downside, and then we'd be looking for either this 1-to-1 if this is going to be a C wave, or alternatively if we see a 5-wave move to the upside here towards the zone of this 37.36, what we could then find is another 4th wave and a 5th wave, which would actually be looking to push us up towards this 41.34 to this 38.83. Moving up into this zone would then put us in that situation where we could actually have this as a bigger 1, and then we'd be looking for a wave 2 to the downside, looking to hold this support zone over here, which would bring us into this area here of this 29.58 to this 24.94. So this is what we would want to see if we're actually looking to build up into a bigger move. Now, like I said, it's always possible there could be series of 1s and 2s in here, in which case we look to push up directly in this way, where we actually get a bigger 5-wave move developing directly up without seeing this bigger wave 2, but this should happen at some point. So what, even if we did have a series of 1s and 2s here, what we'd be then expecting is once this sequence completes, that bigger move to come in. Okay, so having a look at the weekly CPR, what we can see is that price action is actually coming into these central pivot points right now, this 30 cents to this 28.20. So this 30 cent area could be quite an interesting zone if we do actually push back up into it. Now if we're looking for continuation to the downside and we look to reject from these zones, what we could actually see is price move towards this R1 line at this 2017. We have the R2 line down here at this 13.13, And then the R3 line is actually down here all the way towards us 0425. So those are possible pivot points if we move to the downside. Now, if we do look to push to the upside here, what we could see is price be attracted towards this 3607 at the S1 line. We have the S2 at this 4492 and the S3 at this 5182. So be keeping an eye on these levels. Now, throwing this over onto the monthly, what we can actually see here is that we've actually come down past the S3 line. So this means that the targets are technically met for this month. Now, if we do continue to move to the upside here, I'd be interested to see how we react on this 30-cent level. This would once again be an interesting level. We have a psychological level. We also have this R3 line here. So if we do see price actually hit this R3 line, we could actually find this come in as resistance, and we could actually look for that continuation down. Alternatively, if we do manage to get back above this, we could potentially find support on this, or this R2 at this 32.43, R1 at this 34.97. And then if we do actually get back up into this higher range here, what this could mean is that we could actually see price be gravitated back towards these central CPR lines here at this 37.34. We have the S1 at this 39.82, the S2 at this 42.27, and the S3 at this 44.75. So these are just potential target areas where we could actually see price pivot on if we actually do move back up into these zones. Another thing to be watching out for on the 1 hourly is that the Ichimoku cloud is directly above us towards this 28.85. So I would be on the lookout for that potential, that if we are looking for that possibility of continuation to the downside, we could actually look to reject off this level and start to form that fifth wave. So going to be keeping an eye on this reaction to see if we actually maintain above this conversion line and this baseline that we have here. So if we fail to hold these and we start to reject off this cloud, we could actually see price fall down in a bigger way here. Now, if the price does look to move up, we do have a baseline up here at this 30 cents 12, which could offer us resistance. As well as that, we do have the cloud higher up here towards this 35.01, which I'd be keeping an eye on. As well as that, if we come onto the 8 hourly, we can see the conversion line is just above us at that 28.86, so could potentially wick up here and retest this level, and we do have the baseline here at this 30 cent 34. So I would be keeping an eye on this if we do actually look to push up a little bit more. These could be possible areas of rejection. The cloud is sitting up here towards this 37.13. Now the cloud is very thin on all these cases, which means that price can actually move through this quite easily. On the daily, we can see that it is starting to flip into the red here. We do have the conversion line at this 30 cents 30, the baseline up here at this 34.08, and then we have this zone over here of the 38.01 to this 38.85 as a possible rejection zone off the daily cloud. Now it is very thin though, like I said, so this doesn't mean, this potentially means that we could actually see, you know, price move through this quite easily. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.